our first session speaker for today. Maria has been instrumental in making today happen. She is incredible to work with as well. We launched a King's Connect with Maria. Obviously, she'll go into the detail. And I often refer to Maria to other clients and prospective customers as really an example of best practice, as someone who really knows and is really invested in making a success out of a mentoring program. So I won't spoil her presentation by giving any details, but please help me welcome Maria to the stage.
Hello everyone, I'm so happy to see you all here. So yes, this is going to be an hour session, so I'll tell you in a bit how it's going to look like. But my talk is called Off the Beaten Path, the King's Connect Adventure. So a year and a half ago when I first came into King's, we had about 180 people in our offline mentoring program, and they were incredibly engaged. It was all exciting. And the brief was, let's go online, let's make it bigger, let's make it even better than what we have. And we had a quick turnaround time of about a month and a half when we deployed King's Connect. So it was very quick that we did it. But we basically went from a very controlled offline program to an online community that welcomed everyone. And a lot of interactions happened that we wouldn't have expected them to happen. So I do think that even though it has been wonderful what has been happening in King's Connect, it is also quite peculiar and it's something we didn't expect. So this is going to be a very unique story, and I am going to take you through it now. So first of all, if you can think about a problem that you're facing or a challenge, it doesn't have to be in mentoring at all. It can be within your role, even within your life, and write it in your pads now. And you have about 30 seconds to just think about a problem you would like to discuss with someone that you're facing at the moment, and put it in your pad. That's for the activity later, but I want you to do it now, if you can. Okay, so that should be about 30 seconds, but at least it's in your head. So today's story, this is how it's going to go. So your journey for this session, we're going to start with the basics, so the elements of mentoring, going a bit deep on processes and logistics. Then what I call braving the storm, which is when the unexpected happens, when you're overwhelmed, how to handle it. Then making it personal and innovating, meaning mentoring. And then we'll hopefully inspire each other. And at the end, you will get to ask me any questions you would like. So first of all, I want to go to the beginning. And the beginning for mentoring happened in 800 BC. So in the 800th century, BC, the first word that appeared in the Odysseus, Homer's poem, was mentor. So mentor is a character of the poem, and he was left by Odysseus to take care of the family. But Athena, goddess of wisdom, used to disguise herself as mentor to advise the family in this tough time. So from that far back, mentoring has always been linked to wisdom, and that's where we call it now, obviously mentoring, and we all know is sharing wisdom. So coming to today, for me, coordinating a mentoring program is facilitating an environment where really, really meaningful connections can be made. So once those connections are made, they enable individuals to really grow and develop and improve. And this, as they impact in each other's lives, they are able then to impact the world around them in a positive way. So this is quite a big undertaking, really massive and really global, but I do believe mentoring sits within the ethos of university, and it really helps universities be that agent of change through their alumni, through their audiences, and through their students. So it is quite a powerful tool, and that means it's also a very big task for us to make it work properly. So, yeah, so I am just going to talk about the main character for this session, which is King's Connect. So the facts at the moment, these keep changing, but right now, the latest I got last night was 220 students, 800 alumni from above 32 countries are represented on it now. 182 mentoring relationships are currently active, but there is a lot of interactions that we don't call mentoring relationships, or people talking to each other quite a lot within the platform. We have hosted 7 events in the past year with about 600 attendees in total. This is very, very good for us. And also 60% average open rate in targeted communications. This is 3 times higher than anything we send to alumni. It's very high. They do like what we send them. And there is about 7 alumni joining every day. So that number might have just changed to 807 up there. Also, we are expecting in the next 6 months to then double our numbers, which is, yes, it's very exciting. But that's what the expectation is with the numbers that are coming. Also, all of these numbers come from only 1 targeted email we sent a year ago. So we only sent 1 targeted email to about 6,000 people that invited them to be part of the mentoring program. The rest of our recruitment has happened in mass communications, in events, word of mouth. So if this happens with only 1 targeted email, you could imagine if we really ramp it up, what would happen, which is quite good. So processes and logistics. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is the stages of a mentoring program. I'm sure many of us are familiar with them, but I will tell you a bit on kind of my experience on these processes and logistics. So this is kind of how it looks like, and I'm going to take you step by step on it. So first, planning. So obviously there is a lot of setting goals, timelines, and processes in place to be able to deploy such a program and make it work internally. But for me, very important was to create an ultimate aim. So when we decided on King's Connect, I said, well, our goal is to make people be able to have unforgettable and very strong connections with each other. And this has really helped us negotiate with all the stakeholders. This is our ultimate aim. It's easy. I think everyone can identify themselves with this aim. So it has really helped us to have that goal very, very clear, and people then understand that we don't have to explain every little technical thing we do to do mentoring. And also a capacity analysis. So my advice is, whatever time you think is going to take you in the first 6 months, probably multiply it by 3, and in the second 6 months, multiply it by 2, and the aim is eventually we'll get to the right level. But I do think analyzing every task, the hours it might take, and also building a lot of contingency for reactive actions is key, because if not, it can get very overwhelming very quickly. So recruitment. So we have used all avenues for recruitment, the targeted email that I mentioned, but then we use all of our mass communications, magazine, e-news, and also the case studies and impact stories that we share with alumni and students. And one of our kind of projects is student interviews. So that last year, we interviewed 200 students. We did a formal panel. We asked them questions. We also did an induction with them on the interview. So it was a very good way to get them sitting in one room, talking to them on why this is important. This year, we're expecting to interview about 300 students. So not only student interviews, we do this in October, they are quite a big project, but has really helped us to identify what is it that students want, how is it that students operate. Because as an alumni team, I do think we sit a bit removed from students at times. And in the panel, we ask them what inspired them, who will be their ideal mentor, and has really informed our strategy moving forward on how can we shape this to be very useful. And we also do a bit of a cultivation process for mentors and mentees, so volunteers. So when we identify someone that we really want in the program, we engage them in a targeted way. We usually meet with them in person or have a Skype call with them, invite them to events, and really get them in the journey to get them to be excellent mentors and therefore excellent, obviously, engaged alumni, which is good. Then training. So we do training sessions for both mentors and mentees. We have certified trainers, so I'm a certified trainer. Someone else in my team is also a certified trainer. So we do it in-house, and we have basically the mentoring training is usually about 4 hours, technically. We have gotten down to an hour, and we have really, really tailored it to Kings and what they need to know for Kings, not for general mentoring. And then touch points. So obviously this is key. We do a lot of alumni events and also mentoring events, particularly for alumni, both here and internationally. But we also use departmental events, college-led events to really use as platforms for engagement. We also are going to start doing mentoring clinics, which is a one-to-one opportunity for alumni or students to come and talk to us about their any problems they might have, and also to give them the opportunity of matching. In King's Connect, we don't match them. They search for their mentor, and they request that. But this year, we're going to give the opportunity. They want to come, then we can help them find the right person for them. Also, we have sent Christmas cards in the post to very, very engaged and very outstanding volunteers, and also inspirational communication, so sending the quotes, even TED Talks that inspire us, anything that inspires us, we share it with them, so they're more inspired. And then other opportunities, so anything that comes to mind, mindfulness, we try to really make them feel this is a journey, and I do think for mentors it's particularly important to feel they're also growing, they are not only giving back, and they like a lot to be able to reflect, because mentoring is quite powerful for both sides. And then sharing and measuring impact, so obviously quantitative and qualitative measures. We measure the hours, we measure the numbers, but we also measure in terms of qualitative the long-term impact after 9 months in a relationship, what happens, employability, and also feelings. So we ask, how do you feel? Do you feel more confident? Do you feel less confident than the first time you started mentoring? So we do have a lot of measures in place. Quantitative is easy to say, easy to kind of show. We also do an economic analysis for it, so how many, we say a mentor's hour is worth this amount, how much will that be? And in total, we have reached about £500,000 in the past 4 years to the university worth in mentoring and volunteering, which is a good number to share. And impact stories, so yeah, we just search for those stories and share them. And lastly, consolidate and expand. So in this phase, I think obviously you can decide, let's go to more people, let's go to more places, let's build some objectives, but key for me is tying the loose ends. So how does it look like for the people that is now part of the program? How are they feeling? How are we going to keep them engaged? So those are the stages. And it all looks quite tidy here, I think. It looks quite good. But in reality, I think this is how it looks like. So it looks all mashed up and together, because I think once you start, everything starts coming together. So at the moment, I'm recruiting for a new cycle, but I'm closing an old cycle. I am also starting to do training, applications, consolidating, expanding. So I think for mentoring, I think you need to really, really build that dynamic ability to do processes, but at the same time be very reactive. So all of this happens at the same time. And yes, I think it's good to know that and not think that everything will flow, because that was my expectation, and it hasn't been like this. But this has meant that we're always ready to really, really answer those queries at any time. So if we have a new mentor now, what my solution has been to this situation is we're offering things every 2 months. So if a mentor new comes today, I would say, well, there is a training in about a month and a half, come to that. So we're doing basically programming for first-timers, for continuing members every 2 months, so everyone feels they are on their own journey, except we know they are in different groups. So yes, something else that happens very similar to this is a mentoring cycle. So there is a lot of talks on mentoring cycles, what happens when people start, they achieve their objectives, and they start kind of plateauing there. But the mentoring cycle, again, for me, looks more like this. Very, very interesting connections. So what we have discovered is really, there is no one-to-one relationships that much anymore as well. We have mentees that have 3 mentors. We have mentors that have 7 mentees. We also have people obviously connecting internationally, very far away, and people connecting only once. So we have people that share 2 messages, and they get what they needed from that interaction, and that's it. So it's trying not to force people into the very big dots in the middle, but really give them the ability to really go wherever they want within the community and still get what they need out of it. So this is very good to think about, actually, when I was doing this presentation. This is how it really looks like. And I think internally you have to really modify the way you think, that it won't be managed. I don't think you can manage a mentoring program very organized. I think you need to be able to understand it's a live community, it's human, it's humans connected with other humans. And they will take the community and do what they want with it, and you can influence that, but it will really shape you as well. Good to think about. So the relationships in mentoring. So I think we all know that mentoring is a highly, highly relationship-based program. You need to work with so many stakeholders. King's has over 170,000 contactable alumni at the moment. We could be reaching out to 170,000 people. So you need all the stakeholders you can have in order to deploy something en masse and make it very effective. So yes, relationships are very important, but can get a bit messy and complicated, so I have kind of devised a way of trying to make sense of them. So first, I called it the first degree internal, so this is within your own department or even within your own team. How does it look like? So obviously, in my case, I'm part of fundraising and supported development. There is 120 people in the department and only 2 people thinking about mentoring at all times. So we're a minority, but we have been able to really influence all of these stakeholders. So data, working with them on a process that works for them and to get the best out of the data you get of mentoring, communications, research, and your own colleagues. So I have found that in the alumni team, it's hard to think about mentoring, it's hard to think about volunteering. So really consider them important stakeholders and share with them everything you do, make them excited. That's key. And also fundraising. So we have had quite a lot of success with fundraising. We have donors that are part of the program, prospects that are part of the program. We use the program as stewardship, as cultivation. So it is a great, great environment to build with fundraising that they feel confident enough to really send their prospects to the platform to get them through the program and to be happy that they're there. So I think that's a great relationship. It's very, very important if you're part of a fundraising team. Then, second degree internal. So this is inside your organization, but not inside your department. So academic departments for us are a source of fascinating information and opportunities for our alumni. We wouldn't be able to pull out the type of events that the departments do. And in the end, alumni do want to hear what's happening at their university and at their department. So we use them as that source of constantly fascinating facts, figures, and events for alumni to keep engaged. Careers is obviously very key for us. We do something very nice with careers where careers train students before our mentoring events in networking. So they do like a networking session for 35 minutes, then they come to the event, and the difference is massive. Students are so confident in events. So we work with them in really, really getting those skills up for students to be able to take advantage of mentoring, and they also obviously promote it very widely. So admissions is a department we work closely with, but mostly for offer holders and things like that. Senior management team, obviously the principal, the VPs, and the student union, who is key for any student engagement activity. We do have close links with key student groups. There is about 200 at King's, I believe. So we have pick and choose initially who, like the relationships we really want to build, and we have built a good relationship with them, particularly with sports groups and international relations groups are quite keen as well on this type of activity. And then lastly, external. So external obviously is everything around us. So the alumni are top priority there and the students. There is the platform provider, which I think is very important. And I think in the end, the platform provider will obviously support you in all the technical stuff. That's clear. But I have found very useful to really share with Aluminati all of our vision. So what is it that we want for this program in the big scheme of things? Because that means they're really a support for us on that level. And it's not only troubleshoot or fix this, but also be our partner in thinking how we can develop this community to the better. And the society. So I do think society and the world really shape our programming. Everything changes in the world at the moment. And it influences the alumni and the students, which therefore means it influences us. And there is one more relationship I think is important, which is it good? Yeah. Okay, so the relationship I think is important. It's quite internal. It's the most internal of them all. I think it's with ourselves. So I do think when we come into managing a mentoring program, we have a lot of expectations for ourselves. We know we have a lot of knowledge, we know how we like to run things, and I think you need to understand that that is a limited view on how things are going to run, and it's great to collaborate and really open our eyes to that. So I do think it is a relationship that I wouldn't think of, but I think it's key to know how is it that you do things, how do you relate to mentoring, therefore what are you going to kind of bring to the table as well. That's the relationships. And okay, understanding the audience. So obviously, very big audience. So just to recap, I know it's a lot of me talking here, but we have gone through processes and logistics, and I do think the stages and to really kind of break that belief that it can look very organized is very important. And now I'm going more on how to listen to all these thousands of people that are trying to talk to us about what they want. So we have identified 5 elements that are quite basic on how do we want to talk to them. So we want to talk to people by their faculty or department, by their age or their life stage, by their location, by their industry or their sector, and by their previous student societies or even personal interests, hobbies. We have mix and match this, so sometimes we talk to them about location and faculty or about location and age, so it's kind of a mixed outcome, like mixed approach we have done, but we have definitely kind of balanced the platform in a way to see how many people from the faculty is here, how can we recruit more or less, so it's very good to kind of keep track of that. It can get quite messy and you can get a lot of mentors from one area, less mentees from another one. So in our analytics, I always pull all of this information, and this informs the next step on our deployment. But there is one more here, which is the individual's context. So I have found that someone's context will ignite this process and will really make it happen or not. So learning to listen to that context and to understand that people change. So we have gotten a lot of feedback where people say, I love the idea, I love to have Kings Connect there, but I don't think I will use it now. I will probably use it in a year and a half. And we have to kind of acknowledge that. That's a target. They will use it. It's important to them to have it, but they are not interacting all the time. So that won't tick the boxes of number targets, for example. So it has been amazing to see what people want out of this and how their circumstances really shape their way to do it. We have also heard, for example, a lot of women in maternity leave that have said this is a great thing because we can then get back and connect with other people in the sector. So things like that that we weren't expecting have come up, which is good. Then, so the journey. So I want you to think about the alumni. So they are thinking, okay, this is me, I'm going on a journey. So this is my journey, I have registered for mentoring, this is what's going to happen next. So they are going on a journey, they're quite comfortable with that, it all looks good. Now, this is us, carrying 1,000 alumni in our shoulders and taking them in a journey. It's very different, but it's good to think about because sometimes I do think, how is it hard to get things completely consolidated in mentoring? And I do think it is 1,000 people taking individual journeys within one program, and we are one person handling all of those expectations in one. So I'm going to talk a bit about how to do the braving the storm, how to handle that. So basically, I think one of the things is finding the balance. So choosing if you want quantity or quality, or if you want both, and how are you going to go about it is very important. I think we went back and forth between, do we do it for the masses, just opening up to absolutely everyone can come, or do we really make it so people feel there's a unique experience there, really, really personalized. So for us, it has been kind of a balanced situation. We are doing the mass, we are strengthening our mass offering, so when people want to connect, online directory, they will have that. But we are also giving the opportunity to people that say, I'm so keen, I really want to get a good experience out of this, to match them, to give them a bit more support. So it's creating 2 levels, so the mass kind of offering, and then the personalized offering. And this really helped me, actually, this little image here, which says the good news is all of these dots and lines are hyper-connected, but the bad news is that's all they are. And I think in counting numbers in mentoring, sometimes you can get, well, I have 1,000 people, this is all great, but then you start to see their connections, and they fickle quite a lot, they're not very strong, they're not really getting a lot out of it. So for me, it's obviously getting the interactions right, to make sure everyone is interacting, but also to get the deepening that engagement, and what is it that the meaningful connection is? Is it a long-term connection? Is it a connection by industry? Is it a connection in an event that gives them the context to really discuss in depth what they want to get out of it? So in thinking of this, I just always think, I do prefer that they are more than what they are, so I do prefer to make alumni more than dots and lines connected together, but also something more go beyond that. But it is hard to do. So that's interaction versus engagement. And now I am just going to talk you through what we have done for innovating within our mentoring program. So we innovate quite a lot in events. So events are a big thing for us. They are usually quite sold out quite quickly. This is just a cool venue that has a 2-floor, 2 levels. In this venue, there is whiteboards everywhere so people could write what inspired them. And not only was that very cool for the event and dynamic, but also gave us a lot of information on what do people want, what inspires people. And again, all of this goes into our planning and informs how is it that we're treating the members of our program. Then we do usually quite interesting registration experiences, so we use color dots, as you are using as well here today. So in this case, we asked, do you want to be inspired? Do you want to get advice? Do you want to troubleshoot? And they had to put the color dot on their names, and then they could connect in networking based in that. They also had a map telling them what to do in the evening. We even enlisted all the King's Men for this event, which was basically a musical impromptu performance. People were very surprised. They were not expecting it, but they all loved it, and they said it was actually quite a good topic of conversation to break out the ice in networking, which was great. Creative catering. So what you see there, I don't think you can see it very well in the picture, but it is an edible garden. So we talked to catering and we said we want to kind of make people feel, even in what they eat, the words grow and share and empathy. So they created an edible garden for us, and people was quite amazed by that. They look quite good. The pictures, they don't look that good. And we did flags on the food as well. So it's all about making it an immersive experience without causing that much work. So in events, I do think we go quite, not overboard, but we go quite personalized to make people feel that, and then we can kind of relax a bit and maybe comes to not have to be so personalized there. And we also have added 2 very special alumni on King's Connect. So we have Virginia Woolf, who is one of our very notable historical alumni. She is there, and also she is using our training video. So basically, Virginia Woolf goes in mentoring with Florence Nightingale, and they talk to each other in the training video. But also the good thing, Virginia Woolf actually was quite popular, and some people thought she wasn't dead, which was quite hard. We get requests, and we had to break it to them. She's not here anymore, but that sounds good. Good engagement, I mean, definitely. So that's Virginia, and this is Florence. So they're both in the platform. We did kind of, the profiles are all targeted to what they did at King's, what they did in their professional history, and this has taken just a lot of, it's just very good because it has allowed us to really make King's Connect about King's College London, about people enjoy about King's. And just this little detail, I think it has really made it easy to tell people, okay, this is the story we're telling you, easy. And it's such a simple thing to do, really. So one last thing before we go into the activity. So mentoring, alumni relations, fundraising in many universities are all interconnected. I have found that mentoring is really useful to really adjust the way we see things and the way we, as an alumni relations department or as fundraising, approach things. I think in our department there is a lot of protocol and formality sometimes and a lot of expectation. So if you have a high-level speaker, this is how things run. If you have a high-level venue, this is how things run. So we trialed it 2 weeks ago. We went to Washington, D.C. for an event. We got the International Monetary Fund, big venue. We were lucky. We got an alumnus there offer it to us. And then we got the Director of UN Peacekeeping Operations and the Director of Counterterrorism for the Department of State. Very, very big names if you see their level. But what we did was, the brief was, just share your story, more the personal experiences you have had in your career. That's it. And they came, and it was the most kind of community-led event, completely dynamic, interactive, very, very informal event. And it was just so warm. And at the end of the thing, the speakers, everyone just said, this was a great event. I felt like I make a difference. There wasn't any big protocol on it. It was just us sharing with each other stories, experiences. And it was just great to see that the power of mentoring is you can really, really get those experiences no matter what level they come from, and to recycle them into society and make them really share that without minding so much about titles and restrictions. So that was a great little story. So now for the activity. So you are going to be a mentor and a mentee for a bit. So if you can get in pairs, so you might have to move a bit on tables, but if you can get in pairs, you're going to have 6 minutes. You have to choose who is the mentor first and then who is the mentee. And discuss the trouble or the problem or the challenge that you thought about at the beginning. I'll tell you when the 6 minutes are up. You'll switch, and then you'll be mentor and mentee. So switch roles, and then you'll have 6 more minutes, and then we'll do something else. But right now, get in pairs and choose mentor or mentee first and discuss your challenge. So now, you're going to watch this video.
Back in New York, I am the head of development for a nonprofit called Robin Hood. When I'm not fighting poverty, I'm fighting fires as the assistant captain of a volunteer fire company. Now, in our town, where the volunteers supplement a highly skilled career staff, you have to get to the fire scene pretty early to get in on any action. I remember my first fire. I was the second volunteer on the scene, so there was a pretty good chance I was going to get in. But still, it was a real foot race against the other volunteers to get to the captain in charge to find out what our assignments would be. When I found the captain, he was having a very engaging conversation with the homeowner, who was surely having one of the worst days of her life. Here it was, the middle of the night. She was standing outside in the pouring rain, under an umbrella, in her pajamas, barefoot, while her house was in flames. The other volunteer who had arrived just before me, let's call him Lex Luthor, got to the captain first and was asked to go inside and save the homeowner's dog. The dog! Oh, I was stunned with jealousy. Here was some lawyer or money manager who for the rest of his life gets to tell people that he went into a burning building to save a living creature. Just because he beat me by 5 seconds. Well, I was next. The captain waved me over, said, Bezos, I need you to go into the house. I need you to go upstairs, past the fire, and I need you to get this woman a pair of shoes. I swear. So, not exactly what I was hoping for, but off I went. Up the stairs, down the hall, past the real firefighters who were pretty much done putting out the fire at this point, into the master bedroom to get a pair of shoes. Now, I know what you're thinking, but I'm no hero. I carried my payload back downstairs where I met my nemesis and the precious dog by the front door. We took our treasures outside to the homeowner, where, not surprisingly, his received much more attention than did mine. A few weeks later, the department received a letter from the homeowner thanking us for the valiant effort displayed in saving her home. The act of kindness she noted above all others, someone had even gotten her a pair of shoes. You know, in both my vocation at Robin Hood and my avocation as a volunteer firefighter, I am witness to acts of generosity and kindness on a monumental scale. But I'm also witness to acts of grace and courage on an individual basis. And you know what I've learned? They all matter. So as I look around this room at people who either have achieved or are on their way to achieving remarkable levels of success, I would offer this reminder: don't wait. Don't wait until you make your first million to make a difference in somebody's life. If you have something to give it now. Serve food at a soup kitchen, clean up a neighborhood park, be a mentor. Not every day is going to offer us a chance to save somebody's life, but every day offers us an opportunity to affect one. So get in the game. Save the shoes. Thank you.
Okay, so if you now go back to your pairs and you have 4 more minutes for the first role as before, and then 4 more minutes later, so 4 more minutes now to discuss with your mentor or mentee your challenge. So same thing we did before, but again, so continue the conversations you were having previously. So, hope you enjoyed that. So you come back. Okay. So this is just a bit of closing remarks. So the idea of that activity was, it feels different, or hopefully it felt a bit different when you started mentoring first, right on, and then you saw something inspirational, and then you started mentoring after. So it is a difference between uninspired and inspired mentoring. I do think there is a lot of structure on mentoring at times and very formal feeling to it, but I think that once you tackle into the inspirational, the very personal stuff that people have and feel and want, then it becomes all way easier to tell your story, to also manage the big amount of people you're managing and make them more engaged, more excited about it. So just closing remarks. So the art of mentoring. So for me, it is a great task to do, to connect people, to be able to create something, to create a platform that people can just come together on and really, really capitalize on their networks, their experiences, and their story to help each other. So it is very exciting. I talk a bit about processes, stages, about how kind of it is in the end a live community. It's a live entity that we have to relate to, that we have to react to, and that we have to shape and influence as well. So I think it's that relationship between the mentoring program and us and our departments and our staff that really matters in shaping it. The last thing is, mentoring for me, it's all about the story. It's all about why does it exist, why is it unique, why is it important. And once you have that right, the rest of the things will fall into place. That's my last bit of advice. So it's not the end, it will be continued because we will keep working on this. And do you have any questions for me now? Okay? Oh, yeah, sorry. We have 800 people. We have 272 active mentors. So that's different. Yeah, we have 800 members in the platform that are alumni. So 272 are active mentors. From them, 181 are mentoring.
How do you keep those engaged who aren't being active? So you're at the 600 who are just sitting there thinking, well, I'd like to mentor somebody and nobody wants to be with them.
Yes.
How do you keep them enthused in doing that?
Yeah, so one of the things is they're interacting. Many of them, of those 600, are interacting, but they are doing messaging. They are not entering into mentoring relationships. So one of the things is, and the feedback has been, they really want to have like more one advice, one question about an industry. That's it. They don't want to commit to the full mentoring cycle. But in terms of keeping them engaged, we send them monthly updates with inspirational bits and also what is coming up. Events are a huge way. Many of them actually, I would say it's interesting, but I think some of the active mentors attend events less after the first event than all these people that are not active mentors. So they really like the face-to-face experience, so they come to events quite a lot. And the other thing is, this year, with the mentoring clinics, we're going to be offering a lot more on the matching side of things, so they can come and ask us, who is in the platform, who will be best for me, so trying to match them properly. So it is a process, but I think there is a lot of interaction, and it's also understanding, because some of them have been, I am on it, I'm interacting the way I want to, I don't want to go farther than that. And it's good to let them be, and they are still valuable to us in the platform and in the online directory. So it is about understanding the different levels of engagement. But for us, it's events, letting them know what's going on in the platform, and inspiring them as much as we can. Yes.
Do you know what percentage haven't interacted at all?
It's about 25% of those 1,000 people. So that includes students. So 25% went in, registered, but they haven't, done anything on it. So.
Specific targeting engagement with them?
So we haven't yet. I am thinking on doing it, but at the moment, because that still leaves about 800 people or so, I really want to focus on give the ones that are engaged a very good experience, and we'll still invite them to everything. I just think it comes down to that. So I haven't yet made any decision on that group, but it is for me it's a low percentage, so I'm not that kind of concerned about it. But I do think that hopefully if we keep let's say, I do think we have to do kind of a targeted piece to them in the future. So sending them one email that says, we have seen you haven't engaged, why, and come to this, or come to our re-engagement thing. So.
You said you want to double the numbers. Is that the number of students, or?
The numbers in general. So, or my goal in the next, not my goal, I think the projection is in the next 6 months we might reach 2,000 people, by the way, because people is just coming in from everywhere now. So 2,000 people. In terms of mentors, I would like to have about 400 in 6 months. Yes, mentors. The students, there will be 300 that hopefully will go through the interview process and go be part of the platform. So we'll have those 300.
Do you think that most of those 300 will do you say those students?
We don't, no. It's not extreme, it's not a competitive process really. It's for us to really buy their commitment, to really engage them initially. Only if we see something quite concerning, then we will say no. But that we had like a 99% acceptance rate last year, and I don't see us going any more competitive than that. So.
How do you build that policies?
So it is a full week, and we do a panel of 2, and what we do is basically we do 20 minutes of induction, so they get kind of, this is Skills Connect, this is how you use it. They sign agreements, so they see all the expectations. They get to ask us any questions, and then they do a 20-minute interview panel, so they get, it's in groups, because they get one individual question, which is who will be, anyone alive or dead that could be your mentor, who would it be and why. But then they have a group task, that is basically you have a lot of money, what would you do with it in the next 6 months to be better, to be more employable or more professionally developed? That's all. But they do group interviews. So it's 5 people, they come up with a presentation and they say to the panel what would they do.
Say a little bit more about your relation with the careers office. You mentioned that but say a little bit more.
Yeah, so we have worked with careers quite closely, and actually some people from careers are there actually. So we work with them quite closely. We have kind of train them or teach them how is it that we run the program, and they advertise it to students when they see it in their clinics or their one-to-one times, and also in general, so they have leaflets on their office. But we work with them, we do share analytics with them, and we kind of update them. This is the process, this is how many people we have from this faculty, this is how many students we have. And then they kind of help us shape as well how many students we bring in. So they prep students to be part of the platform, they prep them in networking. And we also provide speakers for some of their events, like help them find speakers for events. So we do have quite a open line of communication, and we are always working on how can we better help each other. It's quite good, actually.
How many staff do you have working on these projects all the time? And in terms of, as an full-time staff or part-time staff,
So it is me full-time as the alumni volunteer manager doing mentoring and the other volunteering opportunities, but mentoring is a big part. There is an assistant for the alumni volunteer program that does, I would say, about 40 to 45% of her time on mentoring. That's all the complete focus we have. The head of alumni relations also supports and advises on the program, but that's all we have in terms of focusing on volunteering and mentoring. The events side and the international side obviously create those events for us, those platforms for us to engage. But kind of the volunteering bit and mentoring, that's only me and an assistant. She's full-time, but she does, part-time or part-time is mentoring. 1.5, yeah.
We've got time for one more question.
And your training for mentors, what form does that take? Is it online? Obviously, international mentors.
So we have done webinars before, yes, but we are doing at the moment more in-house. So they come for a morning, it's usually breakfast, and they come for an hour, and we just kind of go through what mentoring is, what are the expectations, what are the role they can take, both mentors and mentees, and then they can ask us any questions. So we do it in-house, but we have done webinars before, but we're doing webinars again this year quite strongly so everyone can, because we have half of our mentors are international, half of the people in the platform are international, so it's like half and half.
Is it compulsory for them to take on the training?
For the students it is. for the mentors is not, I mean, it's highly recommended, but it's not 100% compulsory.